Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Today I'm on location here at Lakeside Daisy State Nature Preserve. This is a 136-acre state nature preserve that has the federally threatened and endangered Lakeside Daisy, which is a small little yellow flower that I'm going to be photographing here today. And that's really just my singular visit, purpose for this visit, that is. This is located less than a mile from the Sandusky Bay and Lake Erie. It's a very beautiful, nature preserve that's located next to the Marblehead Lighthouse and Lakeside Marblehead here. The terrain's relatively flat. It's very dry, rocky, kind of like limestone terrain. And I think the trail is about less than a mile or so. It's not a big preserve by any means. There have been about 128 birds that have been found here, recorded at least, and there's other rare and localized specialized plants that you may find here. I think it's going to be a good visit here. I'm seeing lots of the daisies out. Unfortunately, I'm a little late probably getting here, at least in the timing. They usually bloom here in May, which we're getting towards the end of May here. They're starting to get that kind of white petals and almost like a wilted look to them. But we're going to be seeing what kind of the best ones we can find for the day is. At least from what I can photograph from the trailhead here and the trail. So like with any kind of Ohio state nature preserves, the rules are fairly strict. You can't camp, you can't picnic really. They don't allow pets of any kind. And that's mainly just to protect, of course, the sensitive flora and fauna that you may find here. And especially in a place like this at Lakeside Daisy, these Lakeside Daisy plants are some of the rarest vegetation in pretty much the entire United States. So pretty cool that we actually get to have them here in Ohio in this naturally occurring area as they do. There's also a small population of them that's at nearby Kelly's Island that you can find, and those have been transplanted and moved to there. But I think this is the only real location, besides some kind of like small scattered populations here, in the Sandusky Bay area, they can really find them, and a place that's accessible and open to the public like this. But anyways, I've found some nearby, some butterweed. They're kind of like lookalikes in a way. Definitely some small yellow flowers as well, but I'm definitely going to be photographing these since I'm here for this special visit here. I found a nice one right here that's actually facing me from the trailhead, so I can just kind of line up and get eye level and zoom in on it, and it's already facing me, and it's a very nice color and looks nice, fully developed and everything, and fully formed, which is nice. But as you can see, I'm just not even that far down the trailhead here. The sign's right behind me over here, and yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm probably doing some macro perspectives. The sunrise is fairly hazy, off to the behind the camera here, but for what it's worth, I'm going to just be doing a nice front light, I think, with this. And so yeah, let me get out my my camera and some gear here, and we'll talk through some settings and composition and all that. All right, so for my exposure settings, I got a 160th of a second, f6.3, and bouncing around ISO 320 and ISO 400. There's plenty of light on it, but just with the 2-second timer, just wanted to really make it work, of course. They're starting to get a little bit of a slight breeze, and so these kind of tall and lanky stems of these daisy flowers, are kind of swaying a little bit in the wind. And of course, with this kind of, photographing them, of course, the slightest little breeze or movement is just going to throw it off and cause motion blur, which obviously is not what I'm trying to go for with these today. But yeah, simple as that. On a tripod, of course, as you can see, got it very low to the ground because I always recommend, purchasing a tripod with, no center column. This one in particular has a fishbowl, so there is a little bit of like a 3 to 4 inch, I guess like gap or whatever you want to call it, that gets it low to the ground. But yeah, no filter, simple as that. So been pretty nice. Fairly peaceful morning besides some cars and traffic that are low traffic, that is, but going along the road here that I'm parked at over here. But other than that, just birdsong and a nice peaceful morning, and have this whole preserve to myself, which is pretty nice. So I can really just take my time and slow down and, you know, take photographs and everything. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm gonna keep going here. Not really thinking I'll take any other photographs, like I said, of anything else today. I don't think any landscapes are really presenting an opportunity, but I'll probably take a few more images of different daisy flowers that I may see here, at least the best looking kinds that are here so far. All right, so actually closer to me, literally along the trail edge, is another one that looks pretty good, another daisy. And this one has like some water dewdrop like petals or droplets on them, on the petals. And it's looking pretty nice. It's like almost like some dramatic side lighting or something. It has a lot more like mood and contrast with it, at least the images I've been taking so far, and a lot more striking. The other one was much more just a simple like front lit, you know, the flower head and the daisy itself kind of image. And this one's a lot more kind of like moody and stuff, and it has a much more like curve, like an S curve, almost a wavy stem to it. And so, of course, doing a vertical composition with the leading line just leading up to the top of the frame and the image of the daisy itself. It's looking pretty nice, I think. And yeah, definitely the droplets add a nice kind of touch with it and add a little bit more texture and you know, interest to the image itself overall. You know, doing pretty similar settings at least. I have bumped up my shutter speed a little bit higher, I believe. Yes, I've done 1/400th of a second. I'm still at 6.3 for my aperture and still doing ISO 400. You know, once again, no filters, you know, 2-second timer, and doing the tripod up higher, doing a much more top down, as you can see, which I think's been working pretty well since this one's a lot closer to me, instead of doing the you know, eye level or whatever, shooting straight onto it. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, I think. So quite pleased with it. So a lot to see here, and as you can see, I'm still just right from the trailhead itself. But you know, that's the joy of photography, and especially when you have the whole place to yourself. You know, it's nice to not feel so rushed and in a hurry, and just to enjoy the morning. But sun's definitely getting brighter and higher in the sky, as you can see, and it's definitely heating up quite a bit today. But you know, eventually I'll share the rest of the location here and what else there is to see. In terms of birds, it's been pretty good, of course, with it being spring migration right now. I've heard a singing Wilson's warbler, definitely a lot of house wrens, northern house wrens, and there's actually been 1 or 2 green herons that have been flying around in circles and barking, doing the bark call, which is pretty cool. But definitely looking down at the ground, of course, today with the flowers and stuff. So as you can see, I went back to the car, did a little costume change here, got my hat, my sunglasses, as the sun is just really hitting down on me out in the open here, and put away my camera bag actually. I was quite satisfied with the photos I got of the daisies, and so I just figured I'd share a little bit more of the location and walk around the rest of this pretty short little trail here. But yeah, it's really nice. It's kind of, as you can see, pretty low-lying trees. There's nothing really, it's not an old-growth forest, of course, but very shrubby kind of habitat and very sparse, wide-open vegetation and landscape. But there is a little bit of this flowing little creek or whatever. I don't even know what you call this little, it's not a still pond, but yeah, it's definitely got some flowing water here that kind of outflows towards this marsh here, which backs up to, looks like it says private property on there, so from beyond that point. But nice little side trail here that takes you close to the water right there, and then it really just goes down here, and I think it's just like a little you know, out and back really. But yeah, quite a few lakeside daisies out right now, thankfully, besides I can see some way off in the distance as well. And yeah, still the only one here, which is quite surprising, but I guess it is kind of a lesser known or less popular maybe place to go to when you got, of course, like nearby Marblehead Lighthouse, or even, you know, down the road closer to Toledo, Ohio, like McGee Marsh and all that kind of stuff. So, but as I always say, state nature preserves are very underrated, and you know, they're quite often some of my favorite places to visit for this reason, for just nature and hiking and photography. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. This has been Lakeside Daisy State Nature Preserve. And until next time, make sure to get out here. Thank you.